Hey guys, welcome back. For today's video, I am going to be switching gears just a little bit. I'm going to be telling you about a time in which I truly believe I saw a demon. Now, I know that sounds very extreme and very straightforward, but I ask that if you don't believe in this kind of stuff, just to listen for entertainment purposes. And if you do believe and you have experienced this kind of thing, then you truly know and understand what it's like to be really scared. Now, before we get started, make sure to turn on a light and get comfortable. So this story takes place around the time I was about 11 or 12 years old. And during this time, I lived with my grandma in Roswell, New Mexico, with my mom, my two brothers, and my two sisters. Now, my grandma lives on an Air Force base, and this Air Force base was in use around the year of 1941, but then got shut down in 1967. When this Air Force base was reopened again to the public, my grandma was one of the few very first people who actually purchased a home on this base. So fast forward to the time when me, my mom, my two brothers, and my two sisters were living with my grandma. So we were living in Roswell, New Mexico in this Air Force base home with my grandma. And during this time, my grandma had a computer that was stationed in the garage. And in that garage, we had converted it into a room slash weight room slash computer room. So in order to use the computer, I had to go in there. Now, it was around 5 or 6 o'clock already in the afternoon, and the sun already had went down, but it was still fairly light outside. So during this time, I asked my grandma if I could use the computer. Now, again, the garage is kind of in the corner of the house. It's kind of like weird to explain, but before you go into the garage, you actually have to pass the laundry room and enter through a different door to the garage room. So the computer was actually stationed in the corner of the garage at the very far end of the corner, near the sliding, I don't know why it had a sliding door, but the garage had a sliding door. And mind you, the way that this house was built, it was like brick wall, so you couldn't really put a nail through it to like hang up photos, kind of like any regular room, kind of like these frames that are up here. We weren't able to hang them up. Now, during this time, I asked my grandma if I could use the computer in the garage. And if you know my grandma's house and you know the kind of stuff that's happened there, you don't want to be in that room. And there's another room, there's actually two rooms you don't want to be in. There's the back room, the front room, and the garage slash laundry room. So when I go into the garage, it's like I said, it's fairly light outside, so it's starting to get dark, therefore it's darkening up the garage. So in order to create some light, I open the garage door that leads into the laundry room so that some light comes in, some natural light comes in. So I'm facing away from that door and I'm facing the computer, waiting for the internet to dial up and connect. Now during this time, I'm hearing some shuffling going on in the background. Now, we all know in that house it's very haunted, but there were times where my brothers, my sisters, or sometimes my cousins would kind of joke around with each other and kind of scare one another just because it was so haunted. So I thought my initial reaction wasn't that it was something paranormal. My initial reaction was that it was one of my brothers or my sisters just playing with me. So I'm listening to the shuffle in the background and I turn around, and when I turn around you can kind of see the door that goes into the laundry room, and in there you can kind of see the washer that's propped up against the wall. Now on this washer I saw what looked like to be a shadow kind of just scoot away, almost like whatever it was saw that I had turned around and looked, and I caught a glimpse of the shadow back away. That's when I thought it was my brother or my sister. So initially I kind of made the comment like, oh, that's not funny, you're not scaring me, like stop whatever it is that you're doing. So it stopped for like a minute or two, I'm still waiting for this dial-up connection to connect me to the internet, because all I want to do is talk to my friends online, because it was the cool thing to do at the time. But I can hear shuffling again going on in the background. So I turn around and I'm just looking, because now it sounds very close to me. So I'm looking behind me, and mind you, it's getting really dark, so it's hard to see and make out certain things. I couldn't see anything. I just thought it was my brothers and my sisters playing a joke on me. Again, I tell them it's not funny, and I'm gonna tell my mom if they continue to do this. So I go back on, and I'm on the computer. I'm signing in to my AOL account, and it's just whatever, it's connecting. I hear the shuffling again, and again I repeat that it's not funny and for them to stop. So it stops, and then I continue on to be on the computer. And then it happens one more time. This time, I felt a sense of being really scared. I felt like there was something behind me. I was just too afraid to see something I didn't want to see. So I remember taking 2 deep breaths and turning my head very slowly back towards the door that enters into the laundry room. What I saw still sticks with me to this day. And oh my god, I get goosebumps just thinking about this, and I get very uncomfortable because I do think about this, and the feeling that I felt during that time, it just made me so sick to my stomach. Like, I genuinely wanted to throw up, but I was so scared. When I turn around, I see a shadow. This shadow wanted me to see them. I saw a side profile of what looked like somebody was hunched over, very skinny. I could legitimately see the spine of this thing. I could see the pointy ears that it had. They were very long and very pointy. I saw the long arms and the very long fingers that just hung over. And it was just so creepy and strange, and it was what I believe was a demon. It almost allowed me to see it closer, and I know that sounds very weird and very strange and makes no sense at all, but I remember distinctly seeing the spine of this thing, and the side of the ribs on its side, I could literally count them. And then I could see his long arms draping over, and then I could see his long fingers. They were so long, it just looked so abnormal and so unreal. And in that moment, I felt frozen. I could not move. I could not even digest what I was seeing. I couldn't scream. It was like my whole entire body froze and went into shock. Because of that, so much fear took over that I couldn't even move. So when I was frozen, I could now hear the scratching on the side of the garage walls. And there's no possible way you can make such a sound like that, because the walls were concrete. It would have been really hard. You would have had to have had something metal and something heavy to scrape it up against the wall. And the thing was, it wasn't coming from the inside. It sounded like it was coming from the outside, which again is so impossible. So my grandma's house is obviously right next door to someone else's. Their yard and their fence was literally up against the wall of my grandma's side of the garage. So there was no way anybody could fit in that area and scrape the wall, the garage wall. So when I heard that, it just time stood still. It felt like I was in there for 5 to 10 minutes, and I was only in there for seconds. So after I heard all of that, I don't know what I found in me. I found the courage just to get up and just run. I ran so quickly. I I ran to where my mom and my grandma were, and they were outside in the front yard kind of just talking, and that's when I saw my brothers and my sisters playing out in the front yard as well. I was hysterical. I was crying, and I asked my grandma and my mom if that was them making those noises outside and trying to scare me, or if it was any one of my brothers and sisters. And my mom just looked at me and said, no, like, we've been out here this whole entire time. No one's been inside. I was too scared to go back into that garage. That after that, I told my grandma that I couldn't turn off the computer, that she would have to go do it because I was just too scared to go back there. And an incident of the scratching of the walls happened again, but that story is totally related to something else that was completely paranormal that I could not believe I even heard. Soon after that experience, I kind of just, I know it sounds very weird, but I thought about this a lot. I truly felt after a while, and after being able to process this, what I had seen and what I had heard, that I truly believe that what I saw was a demon. Whether it wasn't in direct contact, the shadow was proof enough, and the way it was and the way it looked and the way it appeared to be truly made me believe that I saw a demon. I just couldn't believe that it wasn't anybody. Like, I genuinely wanted to believe it was someone. I genuinely wanted to put the blame on someone, because when you know that someone is trying to scare you, it kind of takes the fear away of what you saw. But that was one of the very first paranormal experiences in that house that felt really real. There were various amounts of paranormal experiences that I had experienced during the time that I lived with my grandma, but it was never to the extreme of what I had saw that day. Now, there are plenty of stories that I have, that my family has and has experienced in that house. My grandma still lives there to this day. I haven't talked to her and I haven't asked her if she's experienced anything lately. But recently, my mom went to go visit her this past year, and she experienced something paranormal. So that was one of the many paranormal experiences that I've had during my time living with my grandma. And again, I don't know if the land is haunted, or if the house is haunted itself, or if someone did something to open the doors to the other side. But what I experienced was truly real to me, and an unbelievable experience as well. Well guys, that is it for this video. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see any more videos like this, please leave a comment down below. I have plenty of paranormal experiences to share with you. This is just one of many. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, be sure to be safe, look both ways, and always know your exit.